Right, so welcome to the latest of the FM Union League interviews. I've got EnderGamer back. I've got EnderGamer back in a slightly different reason, this time. Ender, hello, how are you?
Hello, great. You?
I'm all right. You're doing a bit too well in this competition. It's not fair.
Well, sorry.
So, we can actually see your save at the moment. I've got it up in the background, and I've just been having a quick look through it. Firstly, really well done. I mean, obviously, it was a strange choice of team. Like we did the idea of this qualifier was that it was like a mid-table team, and although officially they were a mid-table team, Napoli aren't really a mid-table team, are they?
Yeah, it was kind of easy.
I completely get that. And I think, looking back, we should have sort of just said, do you know what? They're not mid-table. Forget it. We'll do someone else. But never mind. But yeah, so I mean, I've been having a quick look through, and there's certainly some things in here which clearly worked out well for you. First question is, which signing do you reckon it was that kind of got you over the line for the title? Because you won the title by a little while, but not like it wasn't like massive, so you had to kind of get those last extra points. Was there anyone you think kind of made that big difference? I think I may know the answer.
I mean, are we talking overall or first season just?
You tell me. Whatever you think was the most important one.
First season I signed absolutely no one, except Mendy maybe.
That sounds... You got Mendy, you got Lobotka, and you got a guy called Friendrup, who I've never heard of. But yeah, you're right. Nothing massive.
Was already there.
Oh, no, he wasn't. You signed him in January. It might be that it was already agreed, perhaps.
That was updated database one, I think.
Right, so it was already agreed. Fair enough. Okay. But you got Mendy and Friendrup.
Kurel and Mendy went to me.
Mm-hmm.
It was an exchange deal.
Oh, yes.
I've just seen. Lobotka wasn't really here.
So, yeah, in the first season, perhaps nothing massive. Ferdinand Mendy was actually one of the people who I was sort of curious about. So tell us what happened with that, because I noticed that you bought him and then you sold him for a rather massive amount of money. Those of you can't see, he's over here. You sold him for up to 82 million. In fact, it did eventually go to 82 million. So, like, what happened there?
Yeah, Saudi happened.
Yeah.
He was excellent for me.
Yep. So I had a look, and it did look like he was very good. Were you tempted to turn them down?
No, not at all.
82 million
really
is a lot of mony for a player who was 29 at the time, maybe 30. Yeah. So you got a little lucky there, I think. But,
for sure.
So yeah, in terms of the whole save though, do you think was it Mendy who was the kind of most important signing? Do you reckon, based on the profit you made?
Either Williams or Tell.
I was going to say I thought it would probably be Tell, because I was sort of looking through. And Williams is the other one. I'm going to come to that in a minute. But let's still talk about Tell first, because I noticed when you had him on loan, I mean, he did okay, but he wasn't stellar. And then you bought him, and then suddenly he turned into Erling Haaland Mark II. What changed?
I knew about him from my Bayern save.
Yeah, I mean, I've had him before as well, not at Bayern, but I've had him at other places, so I know he's very good.
Yeah.
But was there any difference from that first season to? Was there any difference from the first season on loan to the next season? What changed?
I really don't know. He just started going.
So you didn't change his role or anything. You just kept going, and he improved. Fair enough. I mean, he's quite young, so that's not all that surprising.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had him before as well. He's a very, very good player for sure. Let's go on to Nico Williams. So look, I had a look at that, and like you look at that and you think it's a bit of a risk, because you spent 130 million. 130 million is a lot of money. Like, it could have gone wrong. Okay, now I know that there's like a caveat to that, because you actually made a profit on your winger that year, because you sold the rat, as I call him, because I can't pronounce his name. So you made about 44 million quid on sort of going from Kvaratskhelia to Williams. Do you think he was an upgrade?
Yeah, he was. I think he was really. Kvaratskhelia was pretty bad for me.
I have to say, I've had him before, and he's been absolutely brilliant. And Kvaratskhelia just didn't do it for me at Napoli. He's done it for me at other teams in the past. I've no idea what happened to him for me, but yeah, Nico Williams seems to have been a big step up for you. And did it? Yeah, no, I noticed that as well. Yeah, you sold him, and he did the business there. But it's worked out well for you because you made a profit and you got a better player out of it. I mean, you say he didn't perform. He got an average rating of 7.6 in the second season. He was doing pretty well. But yeah. To be fair, for me, he was far worse. I think he was under 7 in at least one season for me. It wasn't good at all. So yeah. Right. Okay. There was one player I looked at that I thought maybe, given the fee, you might have thought was a bit of a miss, and that was Rico Lewis. What's your thinking on that? Do you think he was perhaps maybe a mistake?
I kind of forgot I even had it, but I needed a right back. And
yeah. So you just thought
I paid less than his value was. So
yeah, no, I mean, I can see that. I don't know who the player exchange was, but yeah, it's certainly 73
probably Di Lorenzo.
Di Lorenzo, yeah, it looks like it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's in fact, yes, you're right. It was Di Lorenzo. So that's perhaps, yeah, given that you got him relatively cheap, fair enough, I suppose. It's still quite a lot of money for a right back. I think you probably could have got someone cheaper who would have done even better. I mean, I'm picking at hairs here just to give. Right, I know. Yeah, I've just noticed it was 2nd of February, so it must be right at the end of the window. Fair enough. That does rather explain that, actually. Yeah, and I hadn't noticed the date. Yeah. The other thing I noticed, and my guess is that this is true of quite a lot of people. Certainly for me, you signed quite a few players who I signed as well. Do you think there are certain players that just sort of really suited this team? Because off the top of my head, Diamande definitely, Gay, and I think McKennie you got as well. I got all 3 of those.
I kind of think scouts just scout the same for everyone.
I think that's probably true, and that's part of the reason why personally I'm really looking forward to these the even versions of the competition where we got kind of slightly different saves and the players are a bit different, because these first 4 seasons are always going to be a little bit samey. I almost wonder if we should sort of start doing the even seasons starting a little later as well, just for a bit more variety. We'll see. I mean, this is all stuff that can be up in the air. But yeah, no, because I've certainly noticed there are a few players, particularly Diamande, who seem to be signed by almost everyone in almost every save, and McKennie as well.
Good and he's cheap.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, he's always been a pretty reliable player for me, for sure. We could even have rules like we can't sign a list of these commonly signed players. I don't know. We'll see.
That might be good, actually.
Yeah. So we talked mostly so far about people you bought. Let's talk about people you've sold. For me, in my Napoli save, I sold Osimhen in the beginning of my 3rd season, and I massively regretted it. I stopped scoring, and I ended up getting sacked. Any that you
made a mistake with that.
Yeah. Were there any like that you feel like you made a mistake on?
I honestly don't know who even I sold. Except Osimhen. Yeah.
Did you? I'm trying to remember where you. I know you. Yeah, you sold him early on, didn't you? 2nd season.
Who?
You sold Osimhen early on, yeah.
Yeah. I accidentally accepted a bid from Bayern too low, but
accidentally. Okay. I mean, he didn't set the world off on fire at Bayern. He certainly didn't do as well at Bayern as he did it for me at Napoli in that 2nd season. But yeah, do you think having your time again, you probably would have kept him? Really?
Probably, but seeing how Tell actually did.
Well, yeah. Did you get Tell immediately? Yes, you did. Well, actually, you'd actually already bought him on loan, but you'd already got him. Yeah. Really. Oh yeah, absolutely. You got that was a bit of a bargain. You had him on loan when you sold Osimhen, so I guess you were thinking.
Yeah.
Would you think Osimhen probably would have had limited opportunity that season anyway?
Tell would be a backup, or maybe a backup winger or something.
But actually, having Tell sort of step up a bit quicker might have worked in your favour.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's the kind of. That's what sort of the things that stood out to me in terms of the transfers. Let's think about some of the games now. Were there any games in those 4 years that kind of particularly stood out to you as things that we could have a look at? I'm looking at a 9-1 win against Udinese here. That must have been quite exciting.
There was goals all around.
Yeah. You clearly a pretty free-scoring team. Just in case people are wondering, because they're looking at the save here, this is actually a save that was sort of just before the end of the 4 years, just because the one we had originally was lost. Little note on that: this is more for everyone else than you, because we know that this is totally legit and all that. please do keep your save files, because we will start, particularly once we start thinking about prize monies, please do keep them, because we will start checking them. We're not going to give out prizes unless we can see that these are kind of legitimate. This is not a criticism of you at all, and I think many people have been doing this, including me, by the way. But try and make sure you've got a save at the end of each season and the beginning of each season, just so that we can keep checks if we have to. But yeah, that's as I say, by no means a criticism at all. Where was I? Yeah. So any games that you can remember that stood out?
I know I FM'd PSG in the final of UCL. I don't know which season was.
You were in PSG. You were about to play PSG in the Champions League final in the last season. So it sounds like that might be not here.
Yeah.
Unless you've done it twice. Oh no, yeah, you beat PSG last season as well. Tell got the winner in a 1-0 win. We can't actually see the game, unfortunately, but that's all right. It's just about the amount of games that it keeps. That's all.
Sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I FM'd them.
God, I've just seen your very long winning run in the 25-26 season. It's unbelievable. Huge number of games you've won in a row here with hardly any draws. You go from the November 2025 to April 2026. You drew one game away at Milan, and you won every other game in that period. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, the team just started doing.
Actually, you drew twice with Milan, strictly speaking, because you beat them on penalties in the Super Coppa as well. Absolutely fantastic. What went right in that particular point, do you think? I can see that Tell was getting quite a lot of goals, but anything going very, very right there?
Everything.
just clicked.
So it should be.
So tactically, what do you think you did, particularly, I mean, I'm talking about the whole save, but particularly in that period, what do you think you did that kind of went so right?
I'm not gonna lie, I never changed my tactic at all.
Good to know.
Slight changes because like team figure you out or something like that. But
sure.
Yeah, slight changes, nothing much.
Yeah, no, I think I noticed that you had a copy of Napoli, which I think, as far as I can see, I think I may have been fiddling with it, but the only change I could see was that you'd changed Sancho from a winger attack to a winger support. And everything else was identical.
No. I think I changed wingers from left wingers from wingers to inside forward, and
it might be that you had a different. You may have had a few different versions. The ones that I saw, because I looked at it quite carefully. The only change I could see was Sancho changing. I've fiddled around with it since because I was just curious.
Yeah, there's maybe slight.
Yeah, absolutely. But this was what you used more or less throughout, did you? Okay. So what do you think? What do you think was sort of so right about this tactic? Because for me, this is the part of Football Manager that I still find a real problem. Like I think squad building, I'm really good at. I'm terrible at tactics. What is it about this tactic that is brilliant?
Yeah, trust me. I just look at the site, rate my tactics, and just see what they tell to me. And
I have to say, because I've used it too, and like it can spot the odd helpful thing. But I have to say, I find it like there are times I look at it and think, okay, you're telling me that, but you're not telling me how to fix it. It'll say something like, you need more creativity up front. Well, like how?
I asked Casper a few times, I think.
Okay. So you're relying on others. Fair enough. That's the secret of your success. Casper, this is a message for you then. You're helping your competitors too much, because otherwise you might have won. Right. Well, I mean, it's clearly worked. I certainly, one of the things that I sort of sticks out to me is that I find it very difficult to have these lines become just only green. I tend to find like I'll get some green lines, but there'll be almost always some orange ones.
Yeah, this is really rare that even happens to me.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I mean, it just looks so nice, doesn't it? Like it's something. It's almost an OCD thing, but like it's beautiful. I love it. But yeah, I mean, presumably there's also things about kind of. Squad dynamics as well that have helped that as well. Was there anything that you think you did there particularly well?
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, but I didn't do nothing.
Basically, you got lucky, is what you're saying.
I just let team to play.
Fair enough. I mean, I think sometimes that is perhaps what some people do wrong. They sort of try and tweak too much, do lots and lots of little things, and that means they can't really settle into it, and that may be quite part of the problem. Yeah. The other thing about this team, and this is sort of partly your decisions and partly the team that you started with, is it's kind of got a bit of a British core. There are 5 players who are British in this team, which is very unusual in a continental team. And I mean, I know quite a few of them. I think 3 of them were there when you arrived, but you signed a couple as well. Looking now, you got Rico Lewis, you got Mark Gay, you got Jadon Sancho. I think
never even realised that.
Yeah. like, I mean, as I say, it's unusual to see a non-English team with quite so many British players. And obviously I had at least a couple of them. I had Gay, I had Gilmore because he was already there as well. I also had
for Serbia.
well, of course. I also had McTominay, of course. For me, I couldn't get the best out of them. They were just rubbish for me, to be honest. Particularly McTominay.
Absolute beast for me.
Exactly. So what did you do with him? Because I mean, I'm looking at him now, and 18 assists in that last season. That's mad. He's been one of your best players. How? Because he's terrible. I'm sorry, he's a terrible footballer.
He was just there.
Yeah. It was just something you just don't know. We don't know what went right, basically. The thing is, you say that, but you keep winning things. Like you're up there or thereabouts in every single edition we have. So you're obviously doing something right. There's more than just luck.
Well, I can't help you much.
Totally fair enough. Totally fair enough.
Let my team play.
So we talked about sort of some of the best moments and that Champions League win, and I assume you won the Champions League in that last season as well.
Yeah.
I think you said there was an FMing. Yeah. Which is, I assume those were your best moments. Yeah, those Champions League wins.
First season was the worst for me, I think.
Well, that was the next question. So what was the worst? The first season was the worst. Let's have a look at it, shall we? Well, you still won a huge. You were unbeaten until March. It's hardly a problem.
Yeah, not that, but boring games, really.
Okay, so it's hard because it was dull. Okay, fair enough.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, to say that this is, people are obviously looking at this on the stream right now. To say that this is your low point when we are looking at all this green and a little bit of yellow and just a one defeat to Parma in the entire season.
It was boring to watch.
Totally fair enough if it was boring, but you still do extremely well, and you got that 8-0 win against Udinese. So something. Romelu Lukaku got 7 goals in a game.
Oh yeah,
how have you not mentioned that before? 7 goals in a game for Lukaku. Wow. I'm not sure I've ever seen that before in one of these saves. There's another time he got 4. He was a bit of a beast for you in that first season.
He was just boring.
Yeah, fair enough. He obviously tailed off a little bit after that. He was getting quite old by that point. Got 37 million for him as well. So lucky. I think I ended up getting about 5 for him. I kept holding him for too long, I think, and he wasn't doing very well for me. But yeah. Cool. Okay. I think that's probably mostly all that I thought was really interesting about it. Anything else you want to point out to us?
Yeah, I have no idea. I can't remember.
You signed the old backup Rooney Bargy, who everyone seems to sign in almost every save. He did well.
He was meant to be a starter, but then just.
I was about to say, I say he did well. He didn't do that well. He did okay. He was fine, but yeah.
Yeah.
He did, presumably by the end he's not really a first choice, is he? Whereas Sancho, Sancho's really hit and miss for me. You got him on a free and he's done quite well for you there.
Yeah.
Certainly a good bit of business.
He was a starter, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, congratulations, you did really well there. I said to you at the time, I kind of feel like it was a bit of a waste for you winning the one where actually it doesn't really make much difference. You just want to be in the top league, but at least you won it.
At least I won something.
Absolutely, and you can lord it over us at least until the end of the first edition proper. Unless, of course, you win that as well, in which case you can keep lording it over us.
Yeah, we will see.
Absolutely. Well, good luck for edition 1. Let's just quickly go on to that. We'll have a quick little discussion of sort of how that's going so far. We're as it stands, we're kind of 1.5 seasons into it. Obviously, don't give anything away about season 2. Have you played season 2 yet?
Yes.
Okay, so don't give anything away about that. But you can talk about season 1. Just for those who don't know, at this point, Super League's very, very close. Four people within 15 points of each other. Ender, you're second at the moment, 10 points behind White Panther. What do you think could have gone better in the first season? Anything? The start of it. Well, I mean, I think in a league that we're so unfamiliar with as well, it's always going to be tough, I think, and that's part of what the challenge of the Super League should be. We have made the decision at the moment to not play in India next time, but I think if it worked perfectly, I think this is almost a perfect challenge for the Super League because it's so different to what you're used to. You're never going to be able to sign any of the players that you normally turn to. We were talking before about how you're always going for people like Diamande and Tell and people like that, and you can't do that with a team like Aswell.
Yeah,
So
here you can.
it does make it a good challenge, and that's why I was actually really happy about the fact that the Super League got India. Obviously, I didn't know at that point the whole issue with the Champions League and all that sort of thing, and that means that it's not going to be as much fun as it should
Yeah,
be.
it's weird.
But,
It's really weird.
It is bizarre. I think it must be something to do with licensing, but hey ho, it is what it is.
Every single thing is there.
Yeah.
And players, everything is there.
It's
Just
really
like
bizarre. It's really bizarre that. I don't understand how it's happened. And as I say, it must be something to do with licensing. But I wish they'd tell us that sort of thing, because it would be nice to know beforehand that maybe India wouldn't quite work for this. For those who don't know, we have now we've decided that along with the USA, Israel, and Russia, they won't be in future wheels. We won't be going back to India after this season. It's just not as much fun, is it, when you can't get into a Champions League?
Yeah,
Although, having said that, you
You
can.
can.
Yeah, you can, because you have to win like their equivalent of the Europa League, right?
Yes.
Yeah. In some ways, I like the extra challenge of that. As I say, for a Super League challenge, I'm really glad it was a Super League challenge rather than yeah. If it had been like a Division 3 challenge, I think it would have been awful. But given that it's a Super League challenge, I quite like it. It will certainly be interesting to see the Super League not get as high points as they usually do, because usually we're looking at kind of like people getting close to 1,000 points and thinking, oh god, these guys are too good. At least this time it'll be a little bit more equal. Yeah. Okay. Well,
it is kind of easy if you ask me.
It's too easy, is it? Yeah. Okay. Well,
I
look,
think
given that you are unable to get like big continental points, 145, 150, 160 points, it's quite a lot of points. So clearly it may be a little bit too easy, but it means that you've got to really kind of do your absolutely best to make yourself stand out, I guess. And White Panther at the moment is the person who's done that. That's also where things like the challenges come in, and that's the thing we've added for the FMU leagues, and I think it will be quite fun to see sort of who applies to him. Certainly in my league, I found it really difficult to kind of get the most out of my team and also really think about that, and that is the idea. Is like you don't necessarily have to go for the challenges, but if you do go for them, it will make it more of a challenge, and it will make the game a bit more difficult. So that will be going forward. That's what we're going to try and do, is just make things a little bit more difficult if you want those extra points. But the idea is that they might be worth it if you do. So yeah, certainly for teams in the Super League, I think these challenges are going to be what probably will make the difference. But that's great. So any last messages for us then before we call it a day?
Yeah, well, good luck to everyone, and thanks for having me. I'm going back to win it.
in it to win it, eh?
Again in a week.
Great. We will catch up with you soon. Thanks, Ender.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Goodbye.